For the next 17 minutes, my aim is to compare and analyse how two schools who are authorised by the IBO as world schools implement the PYP exhibition. For the purpose of this independent investigation, I've chosen to highlight one school that is currently overcrowded with student enrolments, located in Melbourne's inner west. The school that I'm referring to is Allamanda K-9 College. The second school that I've inquired into goes by the name of Global Jaya School, which is located in Jakarta in Indonesia. The reason why I've chosen these schools is because one is relatively new in terms of its implementation of the exhibition, whereas the other has offered an international curriculum for over 15 years. So let's begin by gaining an understanding into the school's context. Allamanda K-9 College is located in Point Cook, Melbourne, Australia. The school motto, Dare to be Wise, aims for their students to display their own moral conviction through their actions. Allamanda College was established in 2013 with 371 students enrolled. They experienced significant growth, and in the year of 2018, over 2,600 students were enrolled from prep to year 9. Allamanda College is a one-to-one Apple device school, whereby they offer endless amounts of professional development to both teachers and parents. The school was awarded authorisation and officially became an IBO World School in 2018 after receiving both commendations and recommendations. For the purpose of this exhibition comparison, I've chosen to research into the 2018 exhibition that involved 250 Year 6 students from 9 classes. Moving on, the second school I inquired into was the Global Jaya School located in Bintaro, Jakarta in Indonesia. Global Jaya offers 3 IB programs, the PYP, MYP and the DP. The school was founded in 1995, accommodating only 105 students. Curriculum was based on the National System of Indonesia and the Ministry of Education and Culture. During the period of 2004 to 2006, the school established an international curriculum and became authorised by the IBO. 7 years later, over 1,000 students and 150 faculty members, the school acknowledged its incredible reputation of being made up of 18 different nationalities. In 2018, Global Jaya underwent a re-evaluation by the IBO, and after passing with flying colours, receiving both commendations and recommendations, the school is regarded as one of the IBO's most successful running programs worldwide. For the purpose of this exhibition comparison, I've chosen to research into the 2016 exhibition that involved 90 Year 6 students from 3 classes. As stated by the IBO in 2008, the exhibition takes place in the final year of the PYP and is the culmination of a substantial piece of research involving group collaboration, inquiry, social action, and a presentation to an audience. The exhibition is intended to be a collaborative and student-led inquiry during which students can demonstrate agency and take responsibility for their own learning. The next series of slides aim to examine my perspective in terms of how I think they encapsulate the PYP exhibition experience. So, how did Allamanda College meet the exhibition guidelines? In order to gain an understanding, we need to examine what led to a shift in their understanding of the IB exhibition and how they critically reflected on the exhibition that was conducted the year before. The same group of teachers discussed how they felt that the 27 exhibition was too poster heavy and teacher-driven, with not enough support from their mentors. They did, however, highlight the success in reaching out to the community and the incorporation of the ICT in all areas of the exhibition. Now, as you can see from these photos that are listed here, you can see that it's very similar in terms of the central idea, which is situated in the middle of each poster paper. However, you can see that each pinboard has the same type of content or guidelines that the students had to meet. And in terms of the students having agency, they did it with how it looked, so the aesthetic of it. But in terms of the content, they all had to have a procedural text. They all had to have like an artifact. There were sort of criteria links that they needed to meet. And I'm not quite sure whether that encompasses what the exhibition was entirely about in 2017, which led to their change or their shift in understanding when running the 2018 exhibition. So, The changes made to the 2018 exhibition were as follows. All teachers decided to forward plan 6 months in advance. They believe that explicitly unpacking the 5 essential elements of the IB by running a full day of workshops with activities was crucial for them to develop conceptual understandings. Students needed to understand how to incorporate the 5 essential elements during their own student-led inquiry, and in order for them to gain this skill, the teachers were responsible for running independent workshops for each of the 5 essential elements. For example, a workshop on concepts, a workshop on skills, a workshop on attitudes, a workshop on taking action, a workshop on knowledge. Teachers at Alamanda College used the Bubble Up Planner and gave each group the same central idea. The innovation of technology has led to advancements worldwide. From here, they used Kath Murdoch's inquiry cycle of tuning in, finding out, sorting out, going further, and finally taking action. The beginning of the finding out phase was heavily modelled by the teachers, where they allowed students to ask questions and find out topics of interest that would form their own line of inquiry, and make connections to the key concepts, attributes of the learner profile, and the approaches to learning skills. Still in the sorting out phase, students shared their own student wonderings, and collectively as a cohort they gathered and shared their questions. Once everyone was heard, substrands were formed that linked to the inquiry. For example, as you can see here, how has technology affected and or supported the innovation of gadgets? Tracy King, IB coordinator of Burgess Peterson Academy in the USA, confirms her belief around the implementation of using a bubble planner. Here she said, during our planning time together, we would focus on different sections of the planner. We used an IB resource called the Bubble Planner, that walked us step by step in developing our planners. We wanted to make sure that our planners were transdisciplinary. And I think what led to the success of the exhibition for Alamanda College, after speaking to them and visiting the school, was the fact that agency came in the form of student wonderings, and then they were grouped in terms of common interest, which links with the James Bean negotiated curriculum. And from here, those substrands were formed: medication, safety, transport, sport, and media. 1/3 of the way through the exhibition journey, students were again brought together by the teaching staff and were provided with a variety of graphic organisers to ensure that they were making connections to the 5 essential elements. What I found most interesting with this notion here was not only the rubric What I found most interesting here was not only the rubric distributed prior to the exhibition, it was constantly referred to and brought to the students' attention throughout the exhibition. This ensured that they were accountable to meet the requirements of the IB. Students were then grouped on similar interests and focus groups were formed. Here, students began their own student-initiated inquiry, where they were in charge of a line of inquiry, each linking to the key concepts and the ATL skills. This notion is supported in the enhanced IB documentation titled The Learner. All exhibitions are student-initiated, designed and collaborative. Students collaborate with their peers, teachers, and mentors throughout the exhibition process. There is a genuine sense of participation and engagement through regular sharing of progress and feedback. Inclusion of robotics and ICT into the exhibition was a non-negotiable. In this instance, a group looked into the key concept of change, form, and function. Students examined how technological advancements had led to scientific innovative creations. In my opinion, the most important feature of the student-led inquiries came down to their reflection, which involved students taking action over their learning. There was no summative written piece that was required, another change from the previous year. And instead, they opted for students to show their understanding by articulating their learning journey and to showcase their own writing journal that was all to be kept in draft form. They had to share an artifact to sum up their learning, and then students reflected on how they incorporated the 5 essential elements of the IB in their journals. Finally, students invited other classes to come in and look at their investigations, along with an extended invite to the parents, and local school community, whereby other teachers were invited from schools nearby to attend. So, now that we looked at how Allamanda College met the requirements of the exhibition, in particularly focusing on collaboration, student agency, and reflection, which was taking action, let's take a look into how Global Gyre met the exhibition guidelines. Global Gyre prides itself on its reputation to align and incorporate all discipline areas within student-led inquiries or student-led exhibition investigations. In one of the examples that will be shown, the exhibition highlighted the 6 years of the learning journey whereby students synthesised their understandings of the 6 transdisciplinary themes by demonstrating their ability in identifying real-life issues through, but not limited to, art pieces. And that was one thing that really stood out for me, the fact that they had to synthesise their understanding of all 6 transdisciplinary themes rather than be assigned to one transdisciplinary theme. Similar to the way in which Allamanda approached the tuning in phase, Global Gyre engaged their students in a study tour, which I thought was an incredible idea. As detailed on their website, a study tour is designed and organised to inquire into the topic of the exhibition. The study tour was also designed to strengthen students' social skills and further develop their ability to work as an effective team member. This was used as the main front-loading task to spark interest in and around the exhibition. Collaborating whilst visiting West Sumatra and other places in Bukit and Padang, students formed groups based on interest and identified an issue. They were allowed to ask locals and engage in art and craft exercises, but more importantly, they were required to understand the issues and to be able to explain how it became their concern. The focus here was to allow students to develop their understandings of the approaches to learning skills. After inquiring more into the notion of a study tour, I learned that the issues that the students showcased ranged from poverty, environmental, and even terrorism. This meaningful event also invited IB schools to Indonesia to show its primary students about Indonesia's real-life issues through art. In an IB publication titled The Impact of the PYP Exhibition on the Development of International Mindedness, Critical Thinking and Attributes of the IB Learner Profile, findings suggested that parents valued and understood the role of the PYP exhibition in their child's education. From my investigations, I concluded that this was one of Global Gyre's strengths in involving the community during the exhibition. To spread awareness of the exhibition throughout their school community, the Year 6 team ran 3 separate exhibition workshops. One was for the Year 6 parents, the primary staff, and the exhibition mentors. The workshops highlighted the process, expectations, and some student activities, as well as providing practical experiences and understandings for all involved in regard to the exhibition. As mentioned in the IBO, the IB indicates that mentors can be community members, older students, and teachers. At Global Gyre, in particular, the focus on using the specialist teachers came in the form of their discipline areas. For example, not only were students allowed agency in terms of their choice of transdisciplinary themes to inquire into, but they also had the choice of choosing their own mentor based on similar interests, or even inquiring into a specialist area that sat within the realm of the transdisciplinary theme. Although I've covered the similarities and differences throughout the presentation thus far, here is a quick review. The similarities that lay across both Allamanda and Gyre are as follows. Students demonstrated their ability to take responsibility for their learning. Students showcased their ability to take action in the form of a journal, which led to their reflections. Here, they were actively engaged in the planning, presenting, and assessing learning phases. The learning community participated in the exhibition, supporting and celebrating the development of internationally minded students. There was examples of students' work, however they weren't published pieces. They were all in the form of draft examples, showcasing their ongoing journal. There was a lot of inclusion in regards to the ICT and robotics. All members analysed how effectively they were working together in achieving their goals, with working together to accomplish their goals. And the 5 essential elements were clearly thought out, articulated, and planned. All of these examples of similarities meet the requirements of the IB exhibition as listed by Johnson. The differences that I found apparent within this investigation were: at Allamanda College, there was an overarching theme already predetermined along with the transdisciplinary theme. However, students did have agency over their learning when it came to their wonderings, which formed their focus groups. Whilst at Global Jaya, students had agency from the very beginning, whereby they were allowed to choose a topic from any of the 6 transdisciplinary themes. At Allamanda College, rubrics were used to conduct formative and summative assessments, whereas at Global Jaya, there were no formal summative assessments around the exhibition. Although both schools offered mentors, Global Jaya used them more effectively and naturally throughout the process. In particular, offering the exhibition counsellor that would speak to the students about managing their stress and workload was a great idea. At Allamanda College, it was explicitly taught to follow Kath Murdoch's inquiry cycle, whereas at Global Jaya, they had autonomy. I particularly like the notion of offering a study tour, as Jaya did, to spark the interest in the students' investigations. Concluding this presentation, I would like to leave you with how I use the visible thinking routine of connect, extend, and challenge. I was able to connect with the notion of the exhibition being that it is a collaborative task, built upon student-led and in-depth investigations, whereby students could demonstrate their own agency and take ownership over their learning. This was clearly evident in both cases here, with all students developing a natural curiosity through their investigations. I wanted to extend not only my understanding of offering students more opportunities to exhibit the attributes of the learner profile, but also encourage my students to be solution-minded in adopting these profiles without having them always reminded of the importance of the attributes. And finally, I wanted to challenge Allamanda. I respect their decision to provide the same overarching central idea and transdisciplinary theme to each group. However, as the IB state, all students must synthesise all of the 6 transdisciplinary themes when planning their exhibition. Therefore, in their case, although the exhibition had many positives and clear examples of student-initiated inquiries, was the exhibition a true representation of student agency if the overarching theme was provided to them? Did it limit the scope or options that students may have naturally wanted to investigate into? Thank you very much. Okay, 17 minutes, 31 seconds. Cool, so I need to actually, that's not finished.